Hi, welcome to Allen's Firearms and Guns Plus More, and this is the Ruger LC9. Nice little gun. I can almost cover it with my hand. It is a 9mm striker fire, trigger safety only, 3-dot sight gun. So it only has the little trigger safety right here, which has to be depressed in order to pull the trigger. The trigger will not go back without having that depressed. Let's check to make sure the gun is empty. It is. So the trigger on here is nice and smooth. It's very, very light. Matter of fact, you know me, I think usually a safety is a suicide switch. You only need it on single action. This is practically like a single action pull. It's extremely light. I love the trigger pull on here. I'm just wondering if maybe they should have put a safety on here, but if they did, it would have to be a nice big one. You know me, I like to make sure you have positive contact with it. But all that being said, for those of you who are comfortable, if it's in a holster, it's not going to go off. So no fear, as long as you keep it holstered. Taking it out, make sure your finger's off the trigger, light trigger pull. So I like this little gun. It's compact, it's sleek, it sold really well for a while. It slowed up a little bit. I don't understand why. I think this is a real go-to gun for 9mm carry. It's not small, it's not big. It's at the cusp of being small, which I think is nice. If you like to have something that feels a little more substantial, it helps eat the recoil, this is a great gun to go with. I like this particular gun. The grip on it, it's a single stack, it's a 6+1 round magazine. The grip is a little thin for me. Somebody else is gonna love it, somebody else is gonna hate it. For me, I don't mind it. Look, I always say if it's a self-defense gun, you're gonna pull it out and shoot it in self-defense. You're not gonna think about how it feels in your hand. But if you're into that whole thing, oh, it's gotta feel good in my hand, well then, you may not, it depends on your hand. You know, and depends on how you hold the gun. If you hold it properly, it's not, it's not gonna feel that comfortable, but it shouldn't really much matter. So, without any further ado, let's take this puppy to the workbench, field strip it, clean it, lube it, and put it back together again. Welcome to the workbench. Here we are with the Ruger LC9. Let's open this box up, see what we got. Well, obviously you can see this is a used gun because it doesn't have all the regular stuff that should be in here. The Ruger LC9 is a 9mm striker fire pistol. It has got 3 white dot sights on it, and we got this back down to science now that I have this camera hooked up to a large screen. So there you have the sight picture, all nice and easy to see. So that's what it looks like when you're looking down the sight. Now, what I like about this firearm is its size. You can see it's pretty easily fits into the palm of your hand, a little bit sticks out, but that's what makes it such a great concealed carry gun. You can carry this and it's not uncomfortable. The rear sight has got, both sights are dovetailed, so they are adjustable, though I tell people don't ever adjust your sight, adjust your grip. It comes out of the factory 99% on. It has got a slide release or slide lock. Someone just told me, no, you're calling it the wrong thing. It's both. It's a slide lock and a slide release. It's got your little takedown pin right here, and I'll show you how to use that. And it locks back open on your last round fired. Extractor, and there's your ejector right in there, which you really can't see. I'm going to dump the mag. Look down the chamber, make sure it's empty, the mag well. This gun is ready to be cleaned, and it does need one. So to clean this gun, it's pretty simple. You dump the mag. Now, so to field strip this, you see this semicircle, and you see this piece right here? That's a little takedown lever. You're going to push that down. I'm going to show you that again from a different angle. I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm going to use this stick so you can actually see it. I'm going to push this button straight down. See, it's like a little slider, gets out of the way. Now at that point, you can pull your slide back a little bit. I'm going to have to use a punch. There we go. You push this pin right out from the other side, and that becomes dislodged. You're going to have to pull the trigger. So remember, make sure that gun is empty. And there we go. We're going to remove the barrel. And there it is, totally field stripped. We're going to take Strikehold. I use Strikehold. This is a one process cleaner. If you want to know more about it, I have a video on it. Go look at it. But this is, you clean your firearm with this thoroughly, and then you don't have to lube it or protect it because it does everything in one. So I'll show you how to lubricate your firearm anyway, because there are a lot of people out there that are still using those old products. And those old products, a lot of people love them, but I want to tell you, they are not great on your gun. They keep breaking it down after you're done cleaning it. Okay, so we have the slide. So what I'm going to do with the slide first is wherever I can clean it with my hands, my fingers will fit. I'm going to do that because those are the biggest areas. So they're going to get clean the fastest with just using my hand. Okay, now I want you to notice something. I just wipe this down with my hand and look how dirty that is. And this is why I clean and inspect every used firearm in my shop. I would never give a firearm in this condition to a customer under any circumstances. Now, there's slots on each side of the slide. You need to get the slots on each side of your slide clean. And you go back and forth and keep changing the rag until they're absolutely clean. Okay, I'm going to make sure I get the spring, where the spring goes into, clean. I'm going to wipe down the whole outside of the gun with my cleaner protectant. Look at that, makes it look like new. It's amazing. The back of the gun and the front of the gun. Now I can put that aside and go to the barrel. Now you don't have to clean it in the same order I'm doing it, but this is just the way I do it. I make sure I get into the lug. That's the locking lug. That's what locks your barrel in place. I want to pay particular attention to the ramps. I want to make sure I get all that dirt. Look at that. I don't know if you saw how dull that was before. All that just came off of that ramp. Okay. Here's that old dirty cloth. It's not the same one. Okay. You let your ramps get dirty. That's going to happen is you're going to have jamming because of improper feed. Make sure you get the top of the ramp. The top, everybody thinks it's just this. When the bullet hits that and goes up, it hits the top, and then it gets buckled into the barrel. So you have to make sure that's all done. Very important to make sure you get clean is your chamber. I'm going to get in there. This way I can make sure I'm really getting my chamber clean. Chamber's clean. I'm going to push this through. Okay, the barrel, it looks like whoever had this, even though they didn't clean anything, must have gone up through the front and cleaned the barrel, because the barrel is really nice and shiny. So they must have shoved a cleaning cloth down that way. That's funny. Okay, now the frame. Spray a little Strikehold on here. If it's gun cleaner, I'm just going to put gun cleaner on a rag directly and clean it. I'm not going to spray it. I don't want it getting gun cleaner all over the polymer. Remember this, any place that you're using plain gun cleaner on, you're going to have to touch it with the oil, because gun cleaner is a very, very powerful cleaner, and even after you wipe it all off of the gun, it still continues to break down material because you can't get it totally off. That's why you get white spots and marks on polymer sometimes. It's because the person didn't clean the gun cleaner off of it. It looked fine at the time, but a couple of weeks later, it starts staining out. Now there's a little lever right here that you want to make sure you get past it, push it down and clean behind it. Okay, so there you go. You want to make sure these slots are clean top and bottom. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cloth and put it on a stick, get some Strikehold on it, and I'm going to do what I call my little mopping routine up and down inside the magazine well, top and from the bottom. Took out a decent amount of dirt. I'm going to check my ejector, which is this little piece sticking out here, make sure it's in good shape. It is. Now a very important part of the slide, which I didn't mention before, I always do this, is the battery. So I'm going to go back to the slide, I'm going to take a stick, get some Strikehold on it or gun cleaner, and I'm going to clean the face of the battery. That's where the firing pin comes out on the slide. Make sure that's really good and clean. But even more so is underneath the extractor. Because if dirt gets underneath the extractor and it's not cleaned out, it starts to build up, you're going to get a failure to extract. And the worst time to have that is in a critical event. Okay, so I just took one of the things I love using. I like using multi-tools. This is one of my multi-tools. This is a paper clip that I bent out. One side I use for taking apart timbers. The other side I use to get into tight spots and clean. And there we go, that's done. Now let's get back to what we didn't do yet, the magazine. Now this magazine happens to be very dirty, not where I'm cleaning it now, but down in here. So I'm going to make sure I get that. Now this is important. I want to get underneath the feeder fingers because this is an integral part. A lot of people don't realize how integral the magazine fingers are in feeding, but it's very important. If the magazine isn't correct, it's not going to feed properly and you're going to get jams and stuff. I'm going to make sure I get in here. Okay, now I want to show you something. Look at all that dirt that came out of there. That was a clean rag when I put it in here. So you want to get that clean. Another thing you don't want to do is slam your magazine into a gun. That works really well on TV, but it's not really a smart idea to do in real life. The pin, let's get that clean, and let's get the spring clean. Okay, so that's all done, and now we are ready to oil. So let's take a clean rag. We're going to put 3 drops of oil on it. 1, 2, 3. Do not put oil directly on a gun. All it does is fouls up the gun. Oil does not help the gun. There's only a couple parts that actually really need to be lubricated, so we'll do that. The first place we need to lubricate is inside the rails of your slide. So go a couple of times up and down in there. Now, that's it for this. You don't need lubrication anywhere else, but you still have to wipe it down with oil to turn off your cleaner. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did when I first cleaned the gun. Wherever I touched it with cleaner, I'm going to touch it with oil. Bolt face, underneath the extractor. Okay, if I put cleaner on the outside of my gun, I'm going to oil the outside of my gun. Just wipe it down with oil. Then I'll wipe off the oil, and on the outside of the gun, I can protect it using turtle wax or gun and knife wax. So there we go. This is the slide. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to oil a place that actually needs lubrication. The slide slots. And you don't want to put oil directly in here. A little oil is all you need. Just if it's on the cloth and you wipe it on there, that's all you need. And that's it. You don't need oil anywhere else except where you may have touched the gun with gun cleaner. So you just wipe down the inside of the gun wherever you touched it with gun cleaner. And since we put gun cleaner on the inside of the mag well, we'll do the same thing with the cloth. Make sure you deactivate it all. I'll wipe down the barrel, the lug, make sure I get oil in there. Ramp, shove this in here, turn it a little bit, push it on through. That way I can make sure I got that oiled. I want to get a little oil on my pin. And of course, my spring. If you don't get everywhere where you got cleaner, if you're using regular cleaner, it'll eventually eat away your finish. And then of course, my magazine. Make sure I get in here, because remember, if you use cleaner in here, you have a polymer ramp and underneath the feeding fingers. So there we go. All clean, lubricated, and now we have to put it back together again. Slide, drop barrel in, push it back, spring, the big side goes forward, the little side goes back, push it forward and down. Should go right into that slot. It should be even across the top of the bottom of your slide. So it's just parallel. Match up the slide slots with the slide rails, pull it on, get the crescent in place, and drop your pin in. Once the pin is in, you can let go of your slide and push the little lock up. This locks the pin in so it doesn't accidentally fall out. Magazine lock works. Magazine release works. Slide release works. Trigger. Discharge. Okay. So there we have it. The Ruger LC9 completely fill stripped, cleaned, lubed, and reassembled. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Till next time. Thanks for joining me for the Ruger LC9. Please like and subscribe, and until next time.